making news and leading change in Indian country.
Welcome to another episode of Native Bidaské. I'm Levi Rickert, publisher, editor of Native News Online. Lily Gladstone is in a new movie. It's going to be released Friday, the 18th of April, called The Wedding Banquet. Many of you came to know her with her Golden Globe award-winning performance in Oscar-nominated film Killers of the Flower Moon. The Wedding Banquet is not a Native American film, but deals with the comedy aspects of the Asian community dealing with queer and gay issues. She's our special guest today on Native Bidaské. Welcome to Native Bidaské, Lily.
Hello.
Welcome, Lily Gladstone. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And
You
welcome
too.
to Native Bidaské. With us today is Neely Bardwell. She is a staff reporter at Native News Online. So she kind of does more A&E stories sometimes, so a little more than I do. So I thought she'd be very helpful to this. So welcome, Lily. Hey, what drew you to this role of this movie in The Wedding Banquet?
I was already kind of putting my little antenna out for romantic comedies, and I feel like I feel so blessed in my life to have had the kind of opportunities and these roles that I've gotten to play. And the roles that have introduced me to audiences up till now have been really dramatic, have been grounded in some really brutal, difficult history. And I also feel like my characters in a lot of these films, somehow they exist a little separate from the main plot, kind of not in a vacuum, but in a way that almost raises them on a pedestal a bit. But there's a bit of an element of being isolated from just being on the ground and in the action with the other actors. So it was such a delight to see that this was an ensemble comedy. I got to get in the dirt with everybody else and create this story together. It's what makes this so fun. So there was just a lot of elements in that regard that I was really excited about. It's like I believe in storytelling. I believe in the power of storytelling. I believe in the prescriptive power of storytelling, and it felt like a lot of folks who got introduced to my career and are now following my career, needed a moment to laugh too.
Humor is always great, especially in Indian country.
Oh yeah.
One of our survival mechanisms, I believe, Indian humor. So
exactly.
This movie is billed, is marketed as a comedy, and it was funny. I watched it; it was very hilarious. What are you funny in the movie?
I think that's up to the audience to decide.
Okay.
The situation is funny. What I love about this comedy is that the comedy really does come out of the situation and out of the characters. And this character did give me a chance to be a little bit more free, I guess, in just being naturally as expressive and reactive as I am to things. I didn't have to stoic up for this one,
Yeah.
Being part of just what has so many farcical comedy of errors situations, and getting to play into that and just accept that was I think a big part of what makes this funny. In a lot of ways, my character is the most grounded of the four, is kind of the straight man to everybody else's chaos. I wouldn't say necessarily a serious character, but a character that has a lot of levity and a lot of humor that finds herself in a serious situation. There's the journey to motherhood that is so much different and so much more difficult for our queer relatives. And I loved having space to kind of examine what that journey is. To kind of flesh out why it was so important for my character to carry her own child, to have it be her lineage that's passed down instead of why it's established in the first scene, why her egg and not her partner's egg.
Mhm.
why the donor that kind of matches her partner's background. So the baby will look like her partner, but is coming from Lee and coming from her legacy and her lineage. Why is it so important to hold on to the deed to this house? And to deepen all of those things for me and drive up the stakes for all of that, I decided it would, I've spent a significant amount of my life in the Seattle area. My dad was born and raised in Seattle and then moved back to our reservation in Montana, the Blackfeet Reservation, where I was raised. I'm very, very familiar with Seattle, and decided that, well, the neighborhood where a lot of natives live and have lived for a long time, since this is a family home, it's like that sounds like probably Ballard. And Ballard is like right uphill from one of the most significant prominent Duwamish longhouses that had been burned down in this period of colonization. So I renamed my character Angeline. In the script, she was written as Liz, but I asked, like, can it be Lee, short for Angeline? And also, like, my partner's name in the story is Angela. I know
Mhm.
a number of queer couples who end up having the same name. It's kind of a thing. Um, and I wanted to rename her Angeline in honor of Chief Seattle's daughter, Angeline, Princess Angeline. She's really known and beloved in Seattle circles, partly because she didn't leave. Seattle got built up around her. Her home was right on the waterfront where the fish are thrown now at Pike Place Market, and there's these
Mhm.
beautiful photos of her remaining as the city's going up around her. So that idea of we wanted to change the ideas in the comments in the script, modernize it for kind of millennials, I guess, because the
Mhm.
original itself had definitely comments about gentrification and displacement. I feel like choosing to make Liz Lee Angeline and choosing to make Angeline Duwamish just kind of broadened what that undercurrent of socioeconomic and cultural and historical conversation was. And I think what I've talked to about with the rest of the cast is it really did provide this very solid grounding for everybody else who's, the grounding to all the other live wires was kind of the role I found myself playing in this story. But yeah, definitely a lot of opportunity to be fun.
It was fun, and I love the grandma. And she, one of my favorite lines was when
Same.
she said about Ashley's mom. She's not insane, just American.
Yep.
I thought that was hilarious. Hey, over to you, Neely.
Yep.
Yeah, as you know, Asian Americans and Natives are both typically underrepresented in media and in movies. And so, what was it like working with a community, outside of your own, a disadvantaged community outside of, Native people? Was there any similarities that you saw, or, any big differences that you kind of learned about as you were working on this film?
There were definitely a lot more access points we had for each other, especially as actors and navigating what that representation looks like together. Um, and then therefore there was a lot of support and acknowledgement of like what it took for all of us to get to where we are. And I think the idea that we're making this film that is accessible, I mean, Universal bought it ahead of Sundance. It's universal in a lot of ways, but we know that when you get really specific about lived experiences, it takes on a universal quality because it's grounded in reality. So I think all of us getting to have this fun situational comedy of errors story to tell and to get to build what this chosen family is and looks like together, like we all kind of felt the level of representation that it was giving to our audience and back to our communities. I feel like we open the door for each other, in this journey to more inclusive representation and to better storytelling overall. Um, so it was really refreshing to have just the shorthand already with the cast, particularly with Bowen and Kelly, because Gichon is coming straight from Korea. It's his first time acting in English. He did a remarkable job, and it's like I feel like one thing that I really bonded with him over and found very endearing to him is a lot of native actors, we know what it is to have to look fluent in a language that we don't speak. You know, people assume that we all speak our languages if they don't know Indian country. They assume that it's just like, oh yeah, it's like just roll the camera on them and let them do it. It's like we have to really commit to these small acts of language revitalization when we take on roles that speak in indigenous languages. So I already knew coming out of Killers of the Flower Moon, particularly the amount of work it takes to get your head around a language that you don't speak fluently. And Gichon is very proficient in English. He's not as fluent as his character Min. So he committed more than I've seen like almost any other actor I've worked with. He committed to his role. And I think that's what made the comedy work so well for him. So I just felt this level of protectiveness and understanding for him coming into this sphere. And yeah, it was really lovely. It was a really beautiful way to work. And a lot of our audiences are commenting on that, how it's just, they actually can't recall a white character seeing a white character in it, which is you know, that's a significant thing. And it's hopefully going to be a big box office smash because it's fun. It's the kind of film I think people are seeking out right now. And just talking about this, oh, I see a kitty.
Yes, he's peeking in. He's
Ellie and Angela, actually, we joked that there's a photo of us with a cat. We were cat parents, and there was a line that was taken out later where talking about like, well, maybe we don't need to have a baby right now. Let's just get another cat. And then Lay's like, how dare you? I'm still mourning JoJo. So just kind of like a joke that this couple decided to have a baby because they missed their cat.
That's funny.
But yeah, anyways.
Hey, Lily, how well do you think this movie articulates the queer Asian/minority experience?
I mean, Andrew, as a filmmaker, talks about he made this film. He said this in the introduction yesterday. It's like he definitely made this film to be universal, but really he made it for the Gaysian community. It's and I think because there are so many characters and experiences, like we know that the world is not shaped around one experience. I mean, just like recent quantum mechanical theory, like the universe is shaped like every single particle and atom in the universe expanding out from that central point. So all truths are, it's encompassing, even the contradictory things. And like, I mean, we know a lot of times when you're navigating spaces where you're the only or one of the only Indigenous people around, you're not speaking for everybody, you're speaking for yourself. But you can access a lot of common experience and shared ground. And I think what was so lovely about Andrew's iteration of this, we talked about it a lot in press today, a lot of queer representation in with big platforms like this movie has now. Like the queer part of the story has been almost a gimmick or a joke. There's definitely a period of time where we just got this sort of societal impression. I referenced Michael Scott in The Office, the episode where he outs his coworker Oscar, and then is just kind of trying to cover himself and tripping over himself, making up for it. And he's like, no, I'm the least hateful person. If I were gay, I'd be in the front of the parade waving the rainbow flag, just making, which kind of reminds me of Joan Chen's character in the movie, the performative allyship that she kind of embodies. And this film allows space for there to be like just really lived and nuanced, like naturalized everyday moments, and that you don't get to see in a lot of films about queer experience, about queer families. It's I think that level of representation is something that marginalized actors from all walks of life in every corner understand. Is we need to have those moments where we get to just be people, and our identity is not sensationalized, or more power to the folks that are out and proud and loud about it. It's like just all the love and respect for them as well. That's that's one experience, and it's important to, just like films like Killers of the Flower Moon, it's important to have these films that highlight very specific moments for people. But we also need more stories than just our major traumas. It's we deserve to have our lighthearted comedies that ground us in reality as well.
Right. I guess my last question is, what 3 words would you use to describe this movie?
3 I've been reaching for this week when asked that is chosen family forever. Because I feel like we found this sort of double entendre with the idea of chosen family. There's clearly the family that you build and you choose for yourself. And I think that's really an important one in this film, and a comment about a lot of folks' experience with coming out is the kind of rejection that a lot of folks face from their family. When you meet my character, it's, she's talking about finding a recommendation for the downtown shelter for one of their kids who's not 18 yet. And in my mind, it's, my time working with Red Eagle Soaring in Seattle, and a lot of the kids that you end up really caring about and end up being you're there for them. You're part of their community. You want to make sure their needs are addressed. I pictured that this child was rejected from their home and was homeless because they couldn't live at home and be openly transgender. So I feel like the act of creating a chosen family and creating a safe space for people whose families don't choose them. Then there's also the idea of choosing your family. Like, in the original Wedding Banquet, the whole movie revolves around a wedding banquet. That's the situational big payoff comedy comes from the banquet that follows the Chinese wedding in that original version. And then in our version, I thought about it, not until just Sunday, it occurred to me, we didn't have a banquet in our wedding. The wedding banquet itself is Ya Jung Yoon and Joan Chen as their characters sitting down and sharing food. It's the banquet in our film are the 2 matriarchs that also have to be outliers in their own circles to a degree. In different journey, that comment you said, Levi, about the the American, she's not crazy, she's just American. They have this moment where these 2 women, particularly Ya Jung's grandmother character, is risking everything and is also like kind of a victim of this overly patriarchal system that doesn't accept her grandson. And these 2 women have this moment where they just get to share a meal. They don't need to speak about what it is but they're 2 women who have chosen their family over what society thinks about them. They've chosen their kids. They've chosen what's good for their kids instead of choosing, I guess, the alternative. So yeah, chosen family forever.
Well, Lily, we really appreciate you coming on, and invite you back, talk about your next endeavor. We're really proud of you and all your accomplishments and your successes. So
Thank you. Thank you so
great
much
work.
for holding space and carving out time to talk about this film.
Yes. Chimiquich.
Thank you for joining us. If you value our warrior journalism for Indian country, please consider supporting our work by scanning the QR code or visiting the link below. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and sign up for our free daily newsletter. Chimiquich.